Is this thing recording? I hope so, because I think I'm ready to share with you all the secrets that I know about the real estate market, right? The ones that nobody's telling you. Well, I wish. I wish that were the case. I wish I did have a bunch of secrets that no one knew about, but the fact is I don't, right? I can't predict the future. But what I do know is that right now, in this moment of time, as of filming this, the real estate market is the hottest it's ever been for sellers, ever, right? And I know that right now. Who the heck knows what's gonna happen 3, 6, 9, 12 months from now, you know? But right now is the golden opportunity for sellers to take advantage of these ever increasing home prices and multiple offer situations and having your home on the market only for a few days before you get tons of offers, right? So right now is the best time, but most sellers have the same question. Where the heck am I gonna go? After my home sells, where am I going to go? And that's what I want to cover in this video. And it's going to be a few strategies that you can use as a seller in order to give yourself more time to find a home, if you don't already know where you're going. So you're gonna want to stick around for this. So the first strategy is a leaseback. And essentially what a leaseback is, the buyer makes an offer on the property. You accept the offer and say, hey, I want to stay in the house for 30, 60, 90 days, whatever it is, however much time you think you need in order to find the home. So the buyer will essentially settle on the property, buy your property, and then allow you to stay in the property for a designated period of time. And what we are seeing is buyers charging, almost becoming a landlord of sorts, but not a temporary landlord, and charging money to stay in the property. Or, and I've seen this a few times recently, they're allowing you to stay in it for free. You know, and in Pennsylvania, here in Pennsylvania, we have documents that will protect you as the buyer, protect you as the seller, if this is the strategy that you decide to use. So in Pennsylvania, we have something that's called a post-settlement addendum. So that means after the sale happens, after the sale commences, and the seller wants to stay in the property, there's a post-settlement addendum, which is not a lease. And this is really important to understand. This is not a lease. And also, it should not extend more than 30 days. Now, if you do extend it more than 30 days, then that's when, under Pennsylvania guidelines, it says to make sure that you have a short-term lease between the buyer and the seller. So it's important to know that post-settlement addendum is for 30 days or less, and then there will be a short-term lease that happens after 30 days. But that's a great option for a seller right now because they can essentially stay in their property. They don't have to worry about moving yet, and they can continue to try and find a home. So another option for you as a seller, and this is definitely not for everyone, but there are companies out there that will essentially buy your property, allow you to stay in it, and utilize the equity that you have to find a new home. Yeah, that's reality. There are companies out there that are offering this to sellers. One that I can think of offhand is EasyKnock. Essentially, they'll make an offer on your property based on fair market value. Say you come to terms for $300,000, you owe $150,000. Well, they will allow you to tap into that equity in order to have money for a down payment on a new home. So these things do exist. A lot of sellers don't know about it because a lot of realtors don't know about it, and they can't guide them down that road because they just are not aware of it. So there are a few companies out there that do that. They are growing. These types of companies are growing because the need for it is there, right? There is a huge need for people being able to tap into their equity, and sometimes they just don't have access to it. So that's why these companies exist. They're legit. And again, it's not for all sellers. This is not something that all sellers are going to want to do, but it is an option for you. And that leads into another option, which is having a home equity line of credit, tapping into a home equity line of credit. And that will be based off the amount of equity that you have in your home. So if you don't want to go the route of selling your home to a company like EasyKnock, then you can try and get a home equity line of credit on your home currently in order to access capital for a down payment for another home. Now, the issue that you're going to run into with this is when you have a home equity line of credit, your debt to income ratio will increase. So when you are trying to finance a home, one of the main things that a lender looks at is your debt to income ratio. And depending on the type of loan that you're utilizing, they generally don't want you to go above 50%. So if you have a home equity line of credit, depending on the other liabilities you have, it's going to increase it and it might push you past that 50%. So that's something to think of. But if you have a significant amount of equity in your home, you should damn right be able to tap into that and use that to find a new home. And that way, you're not as strapped and as worried about finding a new home when you sell yours. So that's another good opportunity and another good avenue for you to look at in order to have the money to find a home when you're deciding to sell. Okay, so another way that you can find a home when you're deciding to sell, and essentially not just waiting for something to come up. Now, this is where it's very important to make sure that you're working with a savvy real estate agent that can essentially try and help you find something that's off market. Some of the best deals that we've ever seen have come from off market opportunities. And that essentially is a seller, finding a seller before they decide to list it on the MLS. And this is great for you because as you'll see when you list your home, it's going to be crazy. Multiple showings, multiple offers, people seeing the house, from 8:30, 8 a.m. until 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night, right? So you're gonna see how crazy it is. And you will be on the flip side of that. Like you will be that buyer after you sell your home. So having an agent that is savvy enough that can help you find an off-market property will be another great resource for you and is not guaranteed. And that's the frustrating thing. It sounds great, and we do that for our buyers, whether it's calling around certain neighborhoods they want to be in, sending letters around certain neighborhoods, creating social media ads, trying to drum up some interest, but that doesn't always happen. It's far less than 10% of the time that we're able to actually find our buyers an off-market property. It does happen, and there's always a strong possibility, but it's not ironclad, it's not guaranteed. It's just another resource that you can use as a seller, but you have to make sure that you're working with the right agent that's able to drum up that kind of interest from sellers before they hit the market. And the last thing that I want to talk to you about today is temporary housing. It doesn't sound very glamorous, I know that, but it's an option for you. Temporary housing, either utilizing Airbnb for a month, maybe 2 months, Vrbo, or a short-term stay at somewhere. Well, we're in Chester County, so we have a place that's called AVE, A-V-E. There's multiple different locations. You can stay there for a short amount of time, whether it be a month, 2 months, 3 months, however long it takes you. But temporary housing is definitely another good option for you. And I get it, it's not ideal. And what you can do in order to, not move twice is essentially make sure that you have a pod or something similar to a pod where you can store all your stuff, and then you won't have to move twice, So you have storage, you have your stuff in storage, which is great, and then you move into temporary housing, which already has everything, And also, as a part of temporary housing, and I know this definitely isn't for everyone, but finding a family member that you can stay with. It may not be the most desirable outcome that you're looking for, but it's probably the most economical one. Because if you can stay with a family member for a month or a few months, and maybe you don't have to pay them rent. Again, I know it's the more you think about it, it's like, I don't want to stay with grandma, or I don't want to stay with my in-laws or my cousins or my brothers or whatever it is, but it's going to be the most economical. Hopefully it'll be a little stressless. I don't know if that's possible, staying with family all the time, but it's definitely something to consider as far as temporary housing. So, in essence, you have options as a seller. You may not know them yet because you haven't talked to the right person in order to give you these options. That's why I made this video, because I want you to understand that selling right now and taking advantage of what we have in front of us that we can actually see in this moment of time is a fantastic opportunity, because if you wait, you might lose out on that opportunity. Now, I don't think things are really gonna change that much throughout this year, but again, I do not have a crystal ball. I cannot predict the future. And all I know is what I'm seeing right now in the market, and that sellers are getting 5, 10, 15% above their asking price in some instances. We just sold a home and we got 5% above the asking price, and I thought the asking price was a stretch. So that's how crazy the market is. We sold another home that was 10% above asking price. So that's what we're seeing right now in this moment of time, and you would be foolish to not take advantage of the opportunity if it's something that you really want to do. So reach out to me if you want to learn more. 484-999-0218. If you want to find out what your home's worth, click the link below. We look forward to speaking with you, and have an awesome day. Take care.